Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Ajoe21love, and what a weekend it was around the sports world. Super Bowl weekend happened. It came. It saw. Oh my God, what a game! Now, wasn't a good game? No. It was a historical game, yes. And I'll get into it in a sec. Also, give my thoughts on NFL honors, who won, who's going in the Hall of Fame this year. Also, give my recap of Volkov and Overeem. Go over all that. But again, thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Ajoe21love. Like and subscribe. Click on that bell. We'll get through it for another sports overview topics. But thank you all. And let's get into the episode now, shall we? Starting off with the big news. The Super Bowl Sunday. Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. The Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, trying to repeat as champs for the NFL for the first time since 03-04. The Patriots, the Buccaneers, had not been to the Super Bowl since 02, had been to the playoffs since 07. Riding high, both teams coming in. How it all play out? Well, I mean, the story of the day was as I predicted. No Eric Fisher, no Mitchell Schwartz. How would that makeshift O-line do and protect against that front seven of the Buccaneers? Now, the Chiefs have had O-line troubles pretty much the whole year. Tardif, he opted out, and then they signed Kelechi Osemele to replace him. He got hurt. Wiley been hurt. Obviously, Schwartz been on IR, and then now Fisher, who tore his Achilles against Buffalo. It was really the question. And as I was watching the pregame and watching all the preview shows, watching the predictions, it just confused me as to why. I mean, I get it. The defending Super Bowl champions, Mahomes is great, those weapons, but with those two injuries, it made me curious as how many of those people factored in those injuries on that O-line and how it affect. And that was the story of the game. The front seven of the Buccaneers, they harassed Mahomes. Now, it started off kind of sluggish, stalemate. First quarter, the Chiefs got up ahead 3-0. And then all of a sudden at the end of the first quarter, when it looked like, okay, Tom Brady has never had a touchdown in the Super Bowl in his 9 appearances prior to that. And then right in the last minute, throws a touchdown to Gronk, and that streak has been broken. Another streak was also broken. With that touchdown, Tom Brady and Gronk, the connection, for the most postseason touchdowns in NFL history. Gronk and Brady, and he scored another one later in the game, which I'll get into in a sec. But they lead the way, 14 touchdowns, the highest for any QB receiver combo in history. And you could tell it was going to be a close game. And you also saw, because in the previous game in Week 12, Tyreek Hill went off. He scored went for over 200 yards. I mean, they went about it wrong in protecting against Tyreek Hill. And he knew that, you knew that they were going to try to at least limit that, and he could have still gotten some yards, some catches for 100 so yards, but he was limited. So was Kelsey. Kelsey was the only target on the Chiefs that really did anything the whole game. I mean, there was a sequence in the first half when the Buccaneers, they were on the goal line and they got stood up on 4th and goal, and then the Chiefs got the ball back, but couldn't do anything with it besides one catch by Tyreek Hill for a first down. And then Tommy Townsend, their punter, shanked it off the side of his foot and gave the Buccaneers a short field. And lo and behold, the second touchdown to Gronk. And after that 14-3, it just felt like, okay, this could be ugly for the Chiefs. Because all respect to Cleveland, but their front seven isn't as loaded. I mean, they have a stout front four, but they're suspect at linebacker, and not as good as the Bucs. And all due respect to the Bills, but looking at their front seven compared to the Bucs, it's good, but not as good, or not as loaded. And the Buccaneers held tight. They didn't get caught in their way. Todd Bowles, he loves to blitz. He loves to be aggressive. That was not happen. And Bruce Arians, we know how he is aggressive. He did not get in his way as well. They slowed down the game. They ran the ball really well. Leonard Fournette had over 100 yards. Ronald Jones did well as well. They took their shots when they needed to. The Chiefs came back, made an 8-point game with a field goal. It was 14-6. And then the final minute, it was tricky because, or the final minute of the first half, it was tricky because the Buccaneers were driving down, but not really urgency. The Chiefs, they get the ball to start the second half, you thought, okay, 8-point game. They could get the ball back and perhaps maybe tie up. But they had their timeouts and they took their timeouts, which, I mean, the Buccaneers only have one timeout. And they pretty much gave time for the Bucs rather than letting them burn the clock out and, going to half only down by 8. But big pass interference call on Mike Evans that giving the ball in really good field position. And next thing you know, it's another touchdown but this time to Antonio Brown, his first touchdown in the Super Bowl. Antonio Brown, he made the Super Bowl as a rookie in 2010 when the Steelers faced the Packers, but he didn't have a touchdown this game, or that game. He had a touchdown this game, however, and lo and behold, he has had a heck of a comeback. Considering where he was last year and the baggage, and coming to the Bucs this year, and what he has done is really good as well. He has definitely reinvigorated his, or at least revived his career to an extent, and I'm happy for him. And then instead of being down only 8 for the Chiefs, you could tell they were frustrated, and they were down 21-6 at the half. And it's like, uh-oh, but in the end, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. And you're like, okay, eventually they're going to come back, at least make it competitive. And, I mean, it was so-and-so, but they just could not get their way. I mean, the secondary held its own. The front four of the Buccaneers just outmanned the Chiefs, the injury-riddled Chiefs, and the Buccaneers just had their way. The Chiefs only scored 3 points in the second half, and the Buccaneers kept rolling, run the ball, had some good passes, good throws by Brady, was a touchdown by Fournette, and then it was a field goal that made 31-9, and you thought, okay, there's still a chance for the Chiefs. Only 22 points, but at the same time, this front four and front seven was extremely good. Extremely good. So, Mahomes, now, he did all he could do. I won't give him that. He gave it all he could. He ran for almost 500 yards trying to throw the ball that game. And what can you say? But the Buccaneers earned it 31-9, being Mahomes, being the Chiefs. Here's why I said that it was a reality check for the Chiefs. And not just for the Chiefs, but for all these people in the media and all these people that bang on the Chiefs, bang on Mahomes. I mean, I like the Chiefs. Mahomes is great. We know the weapons on the offense. And we know with the commercials, we know it all. It's no secret that Mahomes is the breadwinner in the NFL right now. But it's just ridiculous, all the pressure and everything that they put on Mahomes and all the weird narratives. Tom Brady will never be touched. Never. 7 titles and 10 appearances. Never be touched. Never. I mean, it's really, one more could say, it was a reality check for these people that say, oh, Mahomes can catch Brady. No, he can't. No, he can't. This game furthered it. He's not going to win 7 more championships. He may win a few more, but he's not going to win 7 more and catch Brady. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback and the GOAT. And there's no debate on that. Mahomes is exciting, but sometimes they gotta chill down. Sometimes people gotta chill down on him. You know, he's only played 3 years, and that's great. He's been to 3 AFC championships and won 1 Super Bowl. That's great. But to think he's gonna beat and catch Tom Brady is utter silly and ridiculous. That's all I'll say. So, moving from that Super Bowl, and I mean, happy for Gronk, came out of retirement, got his 4th chip. Ryan Jensen, Ali Marpet, a guy that went 3rd division school and one of the best O-linemen in the NFL, and is now a champion. Good for him. Tristan Wirfs, as a rookie now, is actually, I might as well say it, because another reason why it was a reality check for Chiefs is they're making people make Mahomes out to be the best thing since sliced bread. Yet he couldn't overcome 2 backup tackles. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Lavonte David, now his chips. GPP continues to be undefeated in the postseason, 8-0. Fun. Antoine Winfield Jr., you know, Ndamukong Suh gets his first. A lot of good players before. I hope they are able to resign them all, but all in all, good for Chiefs, and I mean good for the Buccaneers. Also good for Bruce Arians, who I still believe should have won the Super Bowl with the Cardinals in 2015. However, I'm happy for Bruce Arians getting his first title as a head coach. Alright, now moving from the Super Bowl to the night before NFL honors. Now, They did get it mostly right with the awards, but there were a few snubs, and I'll go over it. So, Justin Herbert won Rookie of the Year, as expected. Chase Young won Defensive Rookie of the Year. They got that right. Justin Herbert won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, Justin Jefferson, he had a really good season with the Vikings, but all in all, when you look at the season Herbert had, it's clear Justin Herbert was the better, and he deserved it, I believe. Although you could give it to Jefferson, and I wouldn't really complain. Then next, Offensive Player of the Year. Derrick Henry. Now, I was cool with it at the same time with what Kelsey did. I'm okay with it. I mean, he did go over 2,000 yards, but what Kelsey did, leading the league in receiving yards, I think, at tight end position is really interesting. But I get it. Derrick Henry is the MVP of the Titans. And, Ryan Tannehill has done really good and since coming to Tennessee, and they are a perfect balance between those two. So I don't have a problem with it. What did have a problem was Aaron Donald won Defensive Player of the Year. Now, it was good. I mean, I get Aaron Donald, the playmakers, but TJ Watt, TJ Watt had a hell of a year. TJ Watt beat him in almost every category on the defense side of the ball. But they gave it to Aaron Donald. In 2017, when it should have been Calais Campbell, but they gave it to Aaron Donald. It's kind of... it's... You can... Political at just silly, but good for Aaron Donald. I just don't like it. I just didn't like it at all. Then, so we go from that to Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski. Bringing the Browns back to the playoffs for the first time in 19 years or 18 years, as expected. And a hell of a job he did with the Browns in his first year. 12 wins with the Browns, including a playoff win in Pittsburgh over their dread rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well deserved, and almost knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. But hats off to Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. MVP, Aaron Rodgers, which I think we all saw coming. Aaron Rodgers, the season he had, Russell Wilson, he looked like he was going to win it at the start of the year, but as the season kept going. Russell moved out of it, and Aaron Rodgers took ahead, and what a season for Aaron Rodgers. Arguably his best season yet, which is interesting. And Russell Wilson, he didn't win MVP, but then last but not least, he won Walter Payton Man of the Year award, which hell of a job for Russell Wilson and Sierra, what they're doing for the community. I mean, hats off to them too, and what they're doing for the community as a player and as a volunteer to his community. Just hats off to Russell Wilson. So then, going from the awards, now the Hall of Fame inductees for this year, which pretty interesting class, I must say. We got Alan Faneca, who won the best guards for, especially for the Steelers, won Super Bowl 40 with the Steelers. Now, every time I talk about Super Bowl 40, I think it's the most controversial game of all time for the NFL, but nonetheless, good for Alan Faneca. He's been waiting a while since he retired, but good for him. We got Megatron, Calvin Johnson, arguably one of the best receivers of all time. And it just was a real shame that he was wasted in Detroit. You know, from 2007 to 2015, made some of the best plays you will ever see. And it's a shame, though. He only went to playoffs twice. And no playoff wins to show for it. Then we got to, as expected, Tom Flores, the Iceman. Tom Flores has been a name that has been brought out for a few years now. You know, when is he going to get his due? When is he going to get his time? You know, as a coach, as a player, he did a lot for the sport. And finally, he gets his due. And good for Raider Nation. What I loved about the awards as well is how there was always someone that had ties to introducing them. You know, Jerome Bettis introducing his former teammate, Faneca. You know, Tony Dungy. Well, again to a sec because I don't want, well, I might as well. Tony Dungy introducing Peyton Manning. Derek Brooks introducing John Lynch. You know, Howie Long introducing his former coach, Tom Flores. I mean, just what more could say. They did as well as they could have possibly done. Brett Favre introducing Charles Woodson. You know, they really made it right despite not the usual way with the hotel and the knock on the door. So, knock on the door at their place, at their homes and facilities. It just was a good moment. So now getting into the rest. So Charles Woodson, like I just said, introduced by Brett Favre. Charles Woodson, I mean, I'll always remember him for the Tuck game. I'm sure he'll always remember that moment as a Raider. But one of the best corners and safeties you'll ever see. And it was well deserved that he's going Ken. Won Super Bowl 45 with the Packers. Shame that he couldn't finish the game, but still hats off to him. And he'll always, I'm sure, assuming speeches will be given later in the year, he'll probably take a jab at Peyton Manning, saying that last year of their careers, he was able to pick him off twice after he never picked him off. So that's a good little moment. And then the sheriff, Peyton Manning. You know, Peyton, he embodies also as well a player who did it right. The sheriff played from 98 to 2015. I mean, I know they got Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers a couple of years later, but I'm sure they're always going to be wondering what if we picked Peyton over Ryan Leaf, or what if we got Peyton over Ryan Leaf. That's always going to be a question. But, you can control what you can control. And happy for Peyton from his time in Indy to his time coming back and being with Denver for 4 years. And won a title with the Colts and won a title with the Broncos. He did it right, and one more could say, I have one of the best careers ever in the NFL. And then John Lynch, another name that has been floating around for years. But John Lynch, current GM of the 49ers, former big-time safety, won the last Super Bowl as part of the Buccaneers, their last Super Bowl. And hell of a career. One could say he was one of those players that I'm glad he played then and not now. Because with all the rules put into place, he was one of those hard-hitting nose safeties. And can't say more. And then Bill Nunn, former longtime personal director of the Steelers. Hats off to him, and good for him. So, I believe those were all the inductees. And a good class for the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, there are a few snubs, of course. Torrey Holt I'm sure he'll get his due soon. Jared Allen, he'll get his due. Many players, they'll just have to wait. Uh, uh, Wait till next year, but we'll see. There will be some interesting names coming up next year. Tony Romo, Vince Wilfork, Chad Greenway. Got a lot of good players coming up next year, so we'll see. So, last thing I want to touch on for this episode, Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. A key matchup in the heavyweight division in the UFC. Overeem, we know he's a legend of the sport. He's still striving for that UFC gold. That's the only thing left on his list. Alexander Volkov, the former Bellator heavyweight champion, has made some strides in UFC since coming from Bellator. Has had a few skits against Derek Lewis, Curse Blades, but he continues to make strides and both continues to get better. How is this one going to go? Well, kind of as expected, but still heart-wrenching if you're a fan of Overeem. But Alexander Volkov, he controlled the pace of fight. Not really any danger imposed by Overeem. It just seemed to be Volkov's fight. He was controlling the pace, and then eventually in the second round, caught him with an elbow. Overeem's nose was busted. You could see he was showing effects from the first round. And followed up with some punches, and Volkov, there's a big fight ahead with Stipe and Francis, the rematch. And I would love to see Volkov fight the winner of that fight. Who wins at the end of March? I don't know, but we'll see. That would be an interesting fight. Also, for a hardcore fan, Corey Sandhagen knocked out Frank Yeager and what was a spectacular flying knee KO. If you're a hardcore fan, you're a little conflicted, but hats off to Corey Sandhagen. Hats off to Alexander Volkov. Interesting to see where both go from here. But, yeah. That was all I wanted to touch on today for the episode. But thank you for joining me. I enjoyed this podcast. Hope you did too. Like I said, if you're new, like and subscribe. Click on the bell. Thank you all. See you Thursday for your AEW Dynamite review.